Season of the Deep Day 1 is now finished, and it's time for me to give you my first impressions now that I've played through almost everything that I possibly could within the first day. I played for roughly 13 hours. So we're going to go through, in chronological order, everything in my experience. I have an entire list here. First things first, we have the servers launched terribly this time, which is kind of sad because Bungie has been doing good previously with the server launches. Believe it or not, the new seasons and new expansions were launching without a hitch. But this time was an exception because it was really bad. There was 1 hour maintenance after 1 hour maintenance after 1 hour maintenance until finally the servers did just go up and everyone was able to get in. However, there was an issue with some individuals that they couldn't actually verify their files, and so it encouraged people to delete their game and reinstall it, which didn't actually fix the problem. We solved that with a video though, so hopefully you were able to watch that and fix that issue. If not, it's just a crappy issue, and Bungie should really work to do better with these server launches, especially with a new season. It's definitely important to start off with first impressions. Mean a lot, right? You want your first impression of a new season to be good. That sets a good precedent and good feedback for the season. You don't want what we got with Lightfall, where everyone was saying is terrible, especially from a story standpoint, which is what we're going to talk about next, which is the seasonal story. Actually is pretty good this season. I'm enjoying the slow narrative. I'm enjoying where we're going. I always enjoy when we interact with the Drifter. I feel like he's such a cool character. He's easily my favorite character. Comment down below which character you enjoyed the most in this seasonal story. Sloane has some really cool side to her. She's, half taken, and that adds a really deep, dark element to it. There's a lot of mystery and allure where the seasonal story is going to go. Obviously, if Bungie does the classic, introduce a new character and then kill that character off at the end of the story, I'm going to shake my fist in the air. Like, come on, Bungie, how many times have we done this now? Let's not do this again. But let's be honest, that's probably where it's going, right? And then next up, we're going to talk about swimming, which is in some of these missions, you can jump into the water and swim. Now, this was kind of hyped up to be pretty epic and pretty awesome, but if I could be completely honest, all you do is just kind of jump in the water and sink and slowly walk. It's a cool thing aesthetically, but it's really nothing that great. I mean, the fact that this was hyped up to be so cool and so interesting was kind of a miss in my opinion. And then the next part we're going to talk about is that you can farm the Last Wish. This was actually introduced. They said that they were going to reprise a raid's loot, and the Last Wish was the one that got reprised, and this is actually extremely sick. One, the Last Wish is easily one of the best raids ever, and you can farm it and get infinite red border drops. There's just a small chance of getting them. I was farming for hours the first checkpoint, and I encourage you all to watch that video. It's a Cali checkpoint. You can farm it and do the challenge, or you can farm and do the cheese and get one loot drop with the cheese, or you can farm with the challenge and get double loot drops. It's up to you, whichever one you want to do. But it's definitely worth farming. Those weapons have incredibly crazy perks. The Apex Predator has like reconstruction and explosive light. What the heck? There's so many. All of the weapons are actually really sick and really good and definitely worth farming. So get in there and farm Last Wish. That was a big W from Bungie on that one. Next, we'll talk about fishing, which is a weird mini game that Bungie has created in various different locations. When you're patrolling, you can go and just cast a fishing rod and catch some fish. And it's kind of fun, actually. Like, I don't know why it seems like the silliest thing that was like almost be stupid, but it's actually kind of fun and kind of relaxing. And after you've done anything stressful in the game, like playing PvP or playing in comp, just going and fishing for a little bit kind of, eases those tensions a little bit. It's actually soothing and quite relaxing. So I actually am a big fan of the fishing overall, but they really need to fix an issue with it, which is that when a public event comes around, it stops the fishing. It literally takes away the dock, and then the fishing doesn't even respawn. So they kind of force you into doing the public events, I guess, but it's just terrible. They should just let you fish as much as you want to fish, but I guess technically making you leave them with the public events stops people from macro farming it. So maybe that's the reason why they did it. Maybe they actually did make a galaxy brain move there, Bungie, but I feel like they should probably fix that part and maybe remove that. But let me know your thoughts down below if you agree or disagree. We got 3 new exotic armors. We've got Titan chest piece today, though, is the one we're going to focus on. And that one's actually pretty sick. You can throw your wall and put it anywhere you want. And that's actually a pretty cool exotic arm piece. I think that was a really nice change. And I'm excited to see what the Lost Sector drops tomorrow. If we're able to get the Hunter and Warlock one, we'll see if it's up for grabs. And then we have the double reskins for the weapons, which was an interesting play by Bungie. I feel like they were trying to, downplay it as much as possible, because if you actually look at what they're doing, they're quite literally re-skinning weapons in the game, and not just reskinning, but they're just bringing back the same weapons that we've had previously, but they're doing it double now. They're doing both the Gambit ones and the seasonal ones with the Taken ones. It's the exact same weapon archetypes, or exact same weapons models, but different archetypes and different affinities. Now, to be fair, I don't think that's that big a deal. There's only going to be so many different weapon archetypes. You know, we don't need 400 different models of auto rifles, right? Like, that's not actually helpful. What we need are different perks and different auto rifles of different affinities that have different strengths. Maybe some for ad clear, maybe some for champs, maybe some close range, long range, some for PvP, some PvE, maybe some for Gambit. You know, I'm not a big hater when it comes to reusing assets, especially when it comes to aesthetics. I know that a lot of people love to roast Bungie, like, oh wow, this is the 400th time we've used this, you know, auto rifle model or the sidearm model. But it's like, honestly, I don't think that that's a fair or valid criticism, because we don't need 100 different shapes of sidearms, right? We just need sidearms that have different strengths and powers and variations. So I'm not too upset about the double reskins with those weapons, the Gambit weapons and the seasonal weapons, the Taken versions, but I know a lot of people on Twitter were. You can comment down below or sound off if you disagree with me there. Another thing that was kind of a positive was that your power level doesn't go up. So if you're 1810 last season, you're going to be 1810 now, and it doesn't raise at all, which is nice. Obviously, your seasonal power will go up, your artifact power, as you level up and grind and get XP throughout the season. So I think that's a cool change. I'm a big fan of that. Now you don't have to grind pinnacles as much, and it got really redundant because obviously I've been grinding pinnacles for so many years now. The next part we'll talk about is that there's the seasonal model changes. We don't have the typical seasonal model like we've had for well over a year now, and now they finally just made it all kind of accessible, and the changes they're good changes overall. So seasonal model changes are a W overall. We have new perk changes. Perks that were existing have been buffed or rechanged. We have new exotic armor changes. Like, there's a whole bunch of armors, like obviously you saw in the patch notes, and we've covered those before. There's exotic weapon changes, because various different exotic weapons have been buffed and changed in so many different ways. So they're basically doing a lot of quality of life stuff. We even have some new perks trickled in there, and a lot of the new perks are actually really strong. Obviously, it's going to take us some time to really test them all thoroughly and see where their strengths lie, like PvP, PvE, ad clear, DPS. Where do these perks lie on what weapons are they the strongest on, and what do they synergize with certain builds? And then lastly, we're going to talk about is the ability to craft so many different weapons now, because you can add the deep sight to any given weapon. Now, you can only do this 6 times per season, so don't get too crazy with this. Make sure to save this for when you're farming a specific weapon and you're 4 out of 5 and you really just want to get that 5th one done. Just use it for that instance, I would say, because you only get 6 a season. So, you know, if you used all 5 for a given weapon that you wanted, you only get 1 more, and that's obviously going to be an issue. Hopefully Bungie increases the cap for that. But overall, my first impressions of the new season are, this is a lot of the same. It's probably, I'm going to give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. Like, I can't think of anything that I really hated or really disliked. But obviously, we're judging the whole season before we are able to get all of the content, because things are very often drip fed. Like, we're going to have the dungeon. We might have some secret missions. Obviously, we get to jump into trials, see what PvP is like. I've heard Graviton Lance is insane. We've got so many new different weapons and stuff, and obviously new builds and new exotics that can synergize with these builds. So it's going to take some time to give some real solid first impressions, but this did go off better than I would say Lightfall's initial reaction, and I'm going to give it a 7 or an 8 out of 10. Let me know, comment down below what you would rank the new season, Season of the Deep, after your day 1 impressions. If you're able to watch the stream that I had going on, if you're able to watch my videos, or if you're able to play yourself, I'll definitely be reading your feedback down below. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed. Smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Later.